At the funeral of the legitimate wife, father brought back an illegitimate daughter. Everyone was dressed in mourning white, except for her, draped in pink and red. My eldest sister's eyes flashed with fury, scaring her into hiding behind father, eyes brimming with tears, looking pitiful and fragile. Father held her hand and said indulgently, "Don't be afraid. This is your eldest sister. From now on, this is your home. In a few days, I'll bring your mother here too." I stood to the side, quietly amused. How dare these two? My eldest sister has been reborn, you know.
1.
My name is Shen Yunru. I'm the second daughter of the Marquis of Loyal and Brave, born to a concubine. My father, Shen Jizhang, was a fallen nobleman who caught the eye of Princess Duanyang at the Lantern Festival poetry gathering because of his talent. He became her consort and was granted the title of Marquis. From then on, he lived a life of luxury for over 20 years. My mother, Lady Lin, was part of Princess Duanyang's dowry. They were as close as sisters, so the princess couldn't bear to send her away and promoted her to be a concubine. Princess Duanyang was strong and capable, and my mother never competed for affection. The household always maintained clear hierarchies and harmony. She thought she had my father tightly under control. But even when she died suddenly from an illness, she had no idea he had a childhood sweetheart, Jiang Yue, hidden away outside the estate for over 10 years, and they even had a daughter who was only a month younger than my eldest sister. Barely after the legitimate wife's death, before the mourning period even ended, father rushed to bring his illegitimate daughter, Shen Yunji, into the house. In the previous life, Shen Yunji wept pitifully, and my soft-hearted, kind eldest sister, Shenao Xue, allowed both her and her mother into the estate. Who would have thought that the seemingly weak and helpless mother-daughter pair were actually cunning and ruthless? They framed my eldest sister, causing her to lose her virginity before marriage and ruining her engagement to the crown prince. In the end, she had no choice but to marry Shen Yunji's fiancé, Prince N. Nangong Sun. Meanwhile, Shen Yunji took her place and married the crown prince, becoming the crown princess. Later, Nangong Sun rebelled and seized the throne, becoming emperor, and insisted on making Shen Yunji his empress. My eldest sister, 8 months pregnant, was cut open under the excuse of being used as a medicinal ingredient for Shen Yunji. She died full of hatred, and her entire maternal family, over 1,000 people, was completely wiped out by Nangong Sun. In this life, she's come back with vengeance in her heart. She'll kill gods if they block her path, and slay Buddhas if they stand in her way. She swore to make that shameless couple pay the price. Oh, you're asking how I know all this? Because I've transmigrated. This is a novel I read before, a revenge rebirth face slap type of story. In the original timeline, I was a cannon fodder character and got killed by that mother-daughter duo not long after they showed up. In this life, I'm just a bystander, munching on popcorn and watching the drama unfold.
2.
Hearing the shameless words of that father and daughter, my eldest sister rose to her feet in full mourning attire, a white flower pinned to her hair. She flung her sleeve, her presence fierce and commanding. A group of maidservants and attendants followed her, just as imposing. I quickly trailed behind them. She stared coldly at Shen Yunji, eyes filled with pride and disdain. Where did this wild girl come from? Hasn't anyone taught her manners? My mother, Princess Duanyang, just passed away. We're still in mourning, and you dare show up at her altar dressed like that? Are you mocking the royal family's dignity? Shen Yunji's eyes welled up with tears, sparkling like pearls. She clung tightly to that scumbag father's arm, the picture of pitiful innocence. Big sister, I didn't mean to. I just thought, since it's my first time returning home, I should dress decently so I wouldn't embarrass the family. Before she could finish, my eldest sister stepped forward and gave her a resounding slap. Shut your mouth. Who's your sister? Where did you even crawl out from, you bastard child? You think you're worthy of calling me sister? Shen Yunji staggered from the slap and would have fallen if that scumbag father hadn't caught her in time. He was furious. Why you're being outrageous? She's your sister. How could you hit her? I was secretly thrilled. I hated that villainous Shin Yunji the most when I read the book. Seeing her get slapped felt even better than doing it myself. I moved closer to support my eldest sister's hand and said softly, "Don't be angry, big sister. Don't upset your health over this." Father's fingers were shaking with rage. "Yunru, you too?" I quickly shrank back behind my sister. My character is supposed to be timid, cowardly, and useless. Can't break that setting, but it doesn't stop me from stirring things up. Just as expected, my sister's heart ached for me. She gently patted my hand. "Don't be afraid, Yunru. I'm here." Then she turned to father and said, "Did you forget, father? You're the consort of a princess. Taking a concubine requires mother's approval and the Bureau of Ancestry's official record. She's just a child born from a mistress, no title, no status. What right does she have to enter this estate?" 3. Father was left speechless by her retort. He stammered, You're being insolent. I'm your father. Now that your mother is gone, this estate is no place for you to call the shots." My eldest sister fired back, "You're the one being insolent. Mother has passed, and as her legitimate eldest daughter, I'm in charge of all affairs in the household. My mother was Princess Duanyang, cousin to His Majesty. Are you trying to make her spirit restless in death? Do you want me to submit a petition to His Majesty accusing you of moral misconduct and disrespecting the royal family?" With that, she turned and shouted, "Guards! Throw this woman of unknown origin out of here. If the Marquis doesn't wish to stay in this household either, then throw him out too." Father had lived off a woman for more than a decade, pampered and protected. He always felt that he was noble and aloof, and that it was mother who forced him into this marriage by relying on her royal status. Though he lived extravagantly all these years, he never felt content. Now that my legitimate mother is dead, even his own daughter won't let him bring back his so-called true love and illegitimate child. To him, that was outrageous, utterly unfilial. And so, this man of over 400 months, not yet 40 years old, sat down in front of the gates and began crying bitterly. "Shanao Shue, you're unfilial. You defy all morals. How can you treat your father like this? I grew up with Jier's mother. We were childhood sweethearts. If your mother hadn't forced me to marry her, they would have been my legitimate wife and daughter. All these years, I've felt guilty toward them. Now that your mother is gone, I just wanted to bring them back and make it right. And you won't allow it? You're my daughter, and I'm your father. What right do you have to stop me? Do you know how much they've suffered all these years?" 4. I don't know how much injustice Jiang Yue and Shin Yunji have suffered, but I do know my scumbag dad is truly feeling wronged. A dignified earl of loyalty and valor, yet he shamelessly sat crying at the front door of his own mansion, drawing the attention of passers-by, who pointed and gossiped. If that's not true love, I wouldn't believe it in a million years. Isn't that the Earl of Loyalty and Valor, Shin Jizhong? Why is he being kicked out of his own manor? Serves him right. Who brings a mistress's illegitimate daughter into the house while still mourning his late wife? I heard the eldest daughter got so angry she threw both the Earl and that illegitimate girl out. Tisk, with a temper like that, no family would dare marry her in the future. Well, no need to worry about that. Miss Shin is about to be engaged to the crown prince. She's the future crown princess. Now that's what I call good gossip. That little green tea Shin Yunji sat beside my scumbag dad with her face swollen like a bun, her eyes filled with jealousy and resentment. When she noticed I was staring, she quickly reverted to her usual delicate and innocent White Lotus act, lowering her head pitifully. I leaned close to my eldest sister and whispered, "Sister, if word of father's behavior spreads to the palace, won't Her Majesty the Empress and His Highness the Crown Prince misunderstand?" The Crown Prince, Nangong Ling, is actually the male lead of this story. In the original timeline, he deeply loved my eldest sister, Shanao Shue. But after she was assaulted and lost her innocence to Princeton, Nangong Ling could only watch helplessly as the woman he loved married his own younger brother. In the end, he was forced to marry Shen Yunji. But even in the year after their marriage, he never touched her. Not even once. It was Shin Yunji, instead, who secretly had an affair with Nangong Sun behind his back. Later, she even joined forces with Nangong Sun to threaten Nangong Ling using Shin Aoshue and her unborn child, eventually driving him to his death. Back when I read the novel, I totally shipped the tragic couple of Nangong Ling and Shin Aoshue. Even though I know they'll end up together in this life, I remember the Empress never really liked my sister. As a loyal CP fan, I felt obligated to give her a heads up. After hearing my concern, my sister glanced at me and chuckled softly. Seems like falling into the water made you smarter, little sister. My expression froze mid-smirk. I was enjoying the drama too much, and I laughed awkwardly. I'm just worried about you, sister. But if you don't like it, I'll keep quiet from now on. To my surprise, she only smiled, patted my head, and said, "It's a good thing to be smarter." She's so warm. I want to snuggle her forever. But wait, did she notice I've been switched out? 5. My scumbag dad and that little green tea might enjoy making a scene, but my sister isn't one to tolerate nonsense. Right in front of them, she shut the manor doors without a second thought. No matter how much crying or banging they did, it was useless. Left with no choice, my dad awkwardly got up, wiped his tears, and took Shin Yunji back to the side residence he'd set up for Jiang Yue in Wei Shui Alley. Jiang Yue had once come from an official family too. Unfortunately, her father was dismissed for embezzlement, and she fell into poverty, eventually becoming a singing courtesan. She got lucky. After only a short stint in that life, she met my dad. He redeemed her and kept her in a decent courtyard in Wei Shui Alley. My dad was the youngest illegitimate son of the Marquis of Wuhan. Though fallen from grace, he was still born into nobility, and his family would never allow a courtesan to marry into the household, especially not as his official wife. When my grandfather found out, he beat my dad half to death and kicked him out. So my dad and Jiang Yue lived freely together for a while, enjoying the high life. But they soon squandered all their money. That's when Princess Duanyang, the ultimate unlucky benefactor, showed up. She fell for my dad and took him in as her prince consort. She gave him fine clothes, a high-ranking post, and all the luxury he could want. He was pampered to the bone. But behind her back, he and Jiang Yue carried on in secret, leeching off her like parasites. He wasn't forced into the marriage, Pa. He volunteered. Now he's full and cursing the cook? What trash. In the previous life, the original Shen Yunru, this body's owner, died because she witnessed Shen Yunji meeting Prince, and in secret, she was pushed into the water and drowned. And concubine Lin? She'd sensed the truth and tried to stand up for her daughter, only to be framed by Jiang Yue for having an affair with the steward. She was beaten to death by my dad. These events were just background in the novel, but as Shin Yunru now, I feel them deeply. I will see how Shin Yunji gets crushed in this life. 6. After Princess Duanyang passed away, concubine Lin fell ill from grief. So she didn't witness today's scene of my dad and Shin Yunji trying to cause a commotion. When she heard that my sister had kicked them out, she exclaimed, "Well done. The princess hasn't even been gone 7 days, and he dares bring that bastard child to her shrine? To think he kept this hidden from Her Highness and from all of us in the household." Exactly. Honestly, aside from his halfway decent looks and a few flashy words, my scumbag dad is absolutely worthless. Princess Duanyang was a strong woman. Had she lived, my dad, his mistress, and that illegitimate girl would have had hell to pay. Unfortunately, she died young, and in the last life, my sister was too sheltered, letting that pair of mother and daughter steal everything. Concubine Lin held my hand and said earnestly, "Yunru, Her Highness treated me with great kindness. Her sudden passing must have devastated your sister. You're her only sibling. Now more than ever, you must stand by her side and stay united with her, understand?" I could feel how much concubine Lin cared for Princess Duanyang, so I nodded seriously. Although she had been part of the princess's dowry and was later raised to concubine, their relationship was one of deep loyalty, like that of master and servant turned family. Princess Duanyang never looked down on concubine Lin for her background. She even returned her indenture contract and cleared her of servile status. Because of that, concubine Lin was a proper concubine with the potential to become a legitimate wife, very different from the usual concubines or slave-born mistresses. Since she and the princess were so close, my dad didn't like her. After I was born, he rarely set foot in her rooms. Luckily, concubine Lin didn't care for him either. She simply devoted herself to raising me properly. 7. After hearing my suggestion, my eldest sister didn't delay. The very next day, she brought the petition and went straight to the palace gates to file a grievance. Princess Duanyang was born into Prince Heng's household. She was the emperor's full cousin. Although Prince Heng had already passed away, her several older brothers were still alive. She'd been raised like a treasured daughter in a beloved family. And all of her uncles, my sister's maternal uncles, held official positions at court. Upon learning of the scandal that had erupted during their sister's funeral, they all jumped out to impeach our scumbag father. As a result, not only was father harshly reprimanded, he was also stripped of his official title. He used to hold an idle position as a cavalier in attendance, but now even that measly stipend was gone. Now that my sister was head of the household, there was no way she'd give him a single copper coin. So, father, along with his white Moonlight and his beloved daughter, spent a month outside living without discipline or support, and quickly found it unbearable. In the past, all of father's spending outside was done on credit. He'd let the shops send the bills to the manor to be settled by the accountant. But now that my sister had cut off his spending, those shops stopped giving him credit once they couldn't collect payment. By logic, after more than a decade together, Zhang Yue should have managed to grab quite a few deeds and silver for herself. But how could Zhang Yue willingly spend her own money? Just a little over a month later, she was already crying poverty, saying the household was out of funds and claiming my sister was targeting her. She dragged Shen Yunji and our father to come crash against the gates of the Earl's manor. It's one thing if eldest miss hates me, but Jir is your father's own flesh and blood. How could you not even tolerate your own little sister? Yes, I may be a lowly songstress by birth, but I was also once born to a proper official's household. It wasn't my choice to end up in such a life. It was me who first had a relationship with the Earl. Duanyang snatched him from me. She really was a former songstress. She had some performance skills. Even though she was a woman past her prime, she cried like a delicate flower in the rain, pitiful enough to melt even a stone. Father looked utterly heartbroken. Wenyang, don't say that. It's this unfilial daughter's fault. She dares disobey even her own father. Shen Aoshue, tell me the truth. Did you instruct the accountant not to pay our bills? This is the loyal and brave Earl's manor. I'm your father. I'm the head of this family. My sister laughed when she heard that. Father, you've really wronged your daughter. It's not that I'm being stingy and refusing to settle your accounts, it's just that there's no money under your name at all. When Mother married you, you didn't have a penny to your name. If His Majesty hadn't granted you the Earl title and given us this manor, you would have had to marry into Prince Heng's family. All the expenses in this household were covered by Mother's dowry. Your salary and land income were already spent on your mistress and your precious daughter. And even that wasn't enough. Mother had to chip in tens of thousands of taels every year just to keep things afloat. Every single one of these accounts is recorded and verifiable. I'm my mother's only daughter. According to the law of this dynasty, a woman's dowry passes to her children upon her death. You, as her husband, have no right to ask her daughter to use that dowry money to support you, your mistress, and your illegitimate child, do you?
8.
My sister said this right at the gate of her home. People were coming and going on the street, and everyone heard her. One after another, they all started pointing fingers at our scumbag father. The loyal and brave Earl sure has thick skin, living off a woman like it's nothing. Never seen anything like it. That mistress and her daughter are truly shameless. Poor Princess Duanyang died without ever knowing the truth. Hey, I gotta say, this mother and daughter pair look pretty good. If they put up a sign at Feishan Pavilion, I'd definitely go show my support. All the gossip and mockery from the crowd made their way into the ears of the three people at the gate. Father and Jiang Yue turned green one moment and white the next from anger. But they were older and had thicker skin. Aside from glaring at us in fury, they couldn't do much else. Shen Yunji, however, had never suffered such humiliation before. Tears welled up in her eyes as she glared hatefully at my sister, then suddenly turned and slammed her head toward the manor gate. I couldn't tell if she'd truly lost it or was just putting on a show, but with the force and speed she used, even an immortal wouldn't be able to save her. I buried my face into my sister's chest, trembling from head to toe. Not out of fear, but from sheer excitement. Was little Miss Green Tea really going to die like this? What joy! But just when I thought she was a goner, a figure suddenly appeared, leapt forward, and caught Shen Yunji in his arms, falling to the side with her. "Miss, are you all right?" he asked with concern. Tears still streamed down Shen Yunji's face. Dazed, she opened her eyes and froze when she saw the man before her. "You!" Then she suddenly burst into hysterics. "Why did you save me? Just let me die. Let me die." The moment I got a clear look at the man's face, I gasped sharply. And then, in the most refined and elegant tone, I muttered, F***K. Wasn't this bastard the scumbag husband from my sister's previous life, Prince N, Nangong-sun? And they already knew each other before Shen Yunji even entered the manor?
9.
I knew who Nangong-sun was. After all, in the information I'd received, the original host had seen him secretly meeting Shen Yunji, and he'd personally thrown her into the water to drown her. And my sister? She knew him even better. In her past life, this was the very man who cut her open, took her unborn child from her womb, and used it as medicine for Shen Yunji. She was tortured by the two of them so badly that she was reborn from sheer hatred. Now, seeing this ultimate scumbag, my sister's grip on me suddenly tightened. The hatred in her eyes burst out like wildfire. "Prince N?" Nangong-sun held Shen Yunji tenderly in his arms, his face full of concern. But when he looked at my sister, his gaze turned colder than ice. "You know who I am, and yet you don't salute? So this is the eldest daughter of the loyal and brave Earl? How arrogant. In broad daylight, you drive someone to death? Do you have no regard for the law? What the hell is this scumbag barking about?" My sister probably hadn't expected to run into Nangong-sun here and was a little rattled. I clung to her arm, buried in her embrace, and asked innocently, "Sister, why is Prince N holding Yunji? Men and women aren't supposed to touch. Aren't they ashamed?" My words successfully shifted the focus. Everyone around turned their gossip-loving gazes toward the pair. Only then did Shen Yunji realize she was being held tightly in Nangong-sun's arms, his large hand pressed against her slender waist, their bodies practically fused together. She gave a startled cry, blushed deeply, and quickly pushed him away. My sister immediately caught on to what I meant and looked at the two of them with icy eyes. "And what exactly is the relationship between Prince N and Shen Yunji? Holding her like that in broad daylight. How improper." Nangong-sun hadn't expected her to fire back like that, and his expression darkened instantly. "I only met this young lady once. I saw she was about to take her life, and I stepped in instinctively. Don't twist the truth." I shot him a sideways glance, pouted, and muttered under my breath, "Prince N is so unreasonable. You can criticize my sister, but she can't say anything back. Double standard, dog.
Get lost. 10.
My eldest sister gently patted the back of my hand, then handed me over to her head maid, Haidang. She calmly bowed to Nangong-sun with neither servility nor arrogance, and directly questioned him. "Your Highness, which eye of yours saw me taking someone's life at will?" This woman tried to fling herself at the gates of our Zhongyongbo manor for no reason. I haven't even blamed her for defiling our family's reputation. What does she have to feel wronged about? By now, Prince N's guards had already asked around. One of them leaned over and whispered into his ear, "Your Highness, this young lady is the daughter of Lord Zhongyongbo and his mistress. The main wife, Princess Duanyang, hasn't even been gone for 7 days, yet Lord Shen is already in a hurry to bring her into the household." Naturally, the eldest young lady wouldn't accept it. Besides, His Majesty intends to betroth Miss Shin to the crown prince. It would be wise not to offend her. The first half of that sentence managed to calm Nangong Sun down. After all, such matters wouldn't be tolerated in any noble family. But the second half instantly made him lose it again. He sneered coldly. So, what if she's the future crown princess? A prince who breaks the law is still subject to the same punishment as a commoner. As a daughter, she's domineering, vicious, unfilial, and disrespectful. She drove her own father out and left his flesh and blood wandering outside. With such conduct, how can she be crown princess? How could she ever be a mother of the nation? That was clearly a personal attack, completely ignoring right and wrong. My eldest sister was instantly furious. Which law of the land says a father's mistress and her daughter must be accepted into the household? Besides, our mother hasn't even been gone for 7 days. Even if father wants to take in a concubine, shouldn't he wait a bit longer? As his daughter, I dare not condone him marrying a singer of lowly status. If word gets out, what noble lady would still be willing to marry you as your second wife? Her words left both our scumbag father and Jiang Yue stunned. Who said I wanted to take Wenyang as a concubine? He protested. My sister shot back at once. Then what, father? Do you want to make her your official wife instead? In that case, I might as well dash myself to death right here at the gate first. Our Zhongyongbo manor is still a noble household. If father marries a low-born singer as his main wife, how can my sister and I face anyone ever again? I immediately started crying, wiping my tears dramatically. This is humiliating. If people find out, what will they say about our family? Sister, I don't want to live anymore. Let's just die here and protect our family's honor. Princein, if you help that mother and daughter drive us sisters to our deaths, I wonder how you'll explain yourself to His Majesty. 11. As the saying goes, the fierce fear the shameless, and the shameless fear those who have nothing to lose. Jiang Yunji threw herself alone. We were ready to do it together. My eldest sister is the legitimate daughter of Zhongyongbo Manor and the emperor's maternal niece. Nangong Sun, on the other hand, is just an illegitimate prince. This kind of mess, anyone with half a brain would avoid it. But I didn't expect Nangong Sun to literally have no brain. He even had the nerve to provoke us. Trying to scare this prince by threatening to kill yourselves? Go ahead. Let's see you actually try it. I don't believe you dare. Before he could finish, a large contingent of guards rushed over, surrounding the gates of our estate. The crown prince, Nangong Ling, was clad in silver armor, a crimson cloak billowing behind him like blood. He leapt off his steed and strode straight to my sister's side, seizing her hand tightly. Schwer, are you all right? The male lead finally makes his entrance. My favorite couple is real after all. Hai Dang, ever the loyal maid, had died protecting my sister in our past life, shot full of arrows by Nangong Sun. Now she stepped forward fearlessly and accused him. Your Highness, thank goodness you're here. Prince and is truly heartless. Our Lady had just passed, yet he aided this mistress and her daughter in trying to force my young mistresses to their deaths. Tearfully, I added, Your Highness, Princeton even said my sister was domineering and vicious, that she wasn't worthy of being your crown princess. My sister is known for being gentle and virtuous. They're the ones who pushed her to this point. Nangong Ling's expression darkened. He glared coldly at Nangong Sun. Since when is it your place, sixth brother, to decide who my crown princess should be? As the empress's legitimate son and the future heir to the throne, Nangong Ling not only had status, but also military merit and real power. Nangong Sun was just a prince. His meddling was already overstepping. In our past life, if it hadn't been for Nangong Sun and Xin Yunji threatening my sister's life, the male lead would never have lost. Nangong Sun, you little snake, crawl away.
12.
As expected, Nangong Sun immediately deflated at Nangong Ling's words. Your Highness, please calm your anger. This younger brother wouldn't dare. I seized the chance to twist the knife, sobbing and sniffling. Princeton says he wouldn't dare, but to me it seems like he dares very much. Just for the daughter of a low-born singer, he wants to force us sisters to die. Your Highness, please stand up for me and my sister. Nangong Ling had grown up with my sister, and since she cherished me, he also treated me like a little sister. Seeing me cry so pitifully, his anger flared again. Sixth brother, just because you're a prince, you think you can bully imperial kin? Princess Duanyang was our father's cousin. By blood, Shuer and Ruer should be calling you cousin too. Nangong's son was scolded so harshly he could barely lift his head, but still protested. But Miss Shen is also Lord Zhongyongbo's daughter. She's my cousin too. Nangong Ling was about to explode. A daughter born of a mistress, with no name and no status, dares to compare herself with Shuer and Ruer? Clearly, you've been completely bewitched by that woman. So much so you can't even tell the difference between legitimate and illegitimate, elder and younger, high and low. When Nangong Sun opened his mouth to argue again, Nangong Ling snapped. What are you standing around for? Get back to your residence and reflect on your behavior. Today's events, I will report them to the emperor. Nangong Sun left begrudgingly, glaring daggers at me before casting a lingering look at Shen Yunji and walking away. Without her supporter, Shen Yunji fainted on the spot from the shock. Jiang Yue and our scumbag father hugged her and wailed like she died. I quickly pulled everyone into the estate and said to my sister, "Sis, hurry inside and shut the gate." She fainted on her own. No one touched her. Let's not give her the chance to frame us later. For the first time in his life, our useless father shouted my full name, Shen Yunru. Without a word, I shut the gate. 13. The imperial guards under Nangong Ling's command were stationed outside the manor. No matter how much my scumbag father and the others cried, they couldn't get in. More and more people were gathering to watch. Embarrassed, they had no choice but to carry Shen Yunji away and leave in disgrace. Nangong Ling offered incense to the late Princess of Duanyang, then stood under the corridor roof talking with my eldest sister. Haidang and I stood behind them, holding hands and shipping the couple. Haidang said, "His Highness the Crown Prince is truly heroic and wise. He and Miss are a match made in heaven." I replied, "Exactly." She continued, "Miss has suffered so much. Thank goodness His Highness is here. Otherwise, that mistress and her bastard child might have really moved in." I said, "You're absolutely right." Haidang turned to look at me with a strange and slightly disgusted expression. "Second miss, could you say something of your own for once?" I said, "When are they getting married? Or better yet, just skip to the wedding night. I want to see babies, lots of babies." Startled, Haidang quickly covered my mouth. "Second miss, please say less. The princess just passed away." Her words reminded me, in my past life, eldest sister had observed full mourning for Princess Duanyang for 3 whole years, and that's what gave that mother-daughter pair the opportunity to take advantage. This time, I must make sure they get married as soon as possible, before anything can go wrong. With that thought, I rushed over to my sister and Nangong Ling. Eldest sister looked at me in surprise. "Ruer, what's the rush? Did something happen?" I knelt before Nangong Ling. "Your Highness, I beg you to marry my sister as soon as possible." Eldest sister froze. "What nonsense are you talking about? Our mother just passed away." I explained. "I know. According to the rules, since our legal mother passed away, sister is supposed to observe mourning for 3 years. But isn't there also a rule that within the first 100 days of mourning, marriage is still permitted? His Highness is already 20. Could sister really bear to make him wait 3 more years? I'm still young. I'll mourn for our mother for 3 years in your place. So, sister, go ahead and get married." My words made eldest sister blush and tear up. Nangong Ling looked at me approvingly. "Shuer, I think your sister makes a good point. I'll return to the palace immediately and speak to the emperor about our engagement. Wait for me." Eldest sister hesitated. But I quickly leaned in and whispered, "Sister, have you forgotten? All the businesses in this estate were part of our mother's dowry. If you get married, You'll take all of it with you. Even if father dares bring that woman and her daughter into this house, they won't gain anything. You should marry soon." Eldest sister looked at me in surprise but said nothing. 14. Nangong Ling stayed for a short while, then took his leave. Before leaving, he assigned 10 guards to protect eldest sister. Those guards stood outside the Marquis Zhongyong's manor, like temple guardians. Even a fly wouldn't dare enter. I was just about to go tell Aunt Lin the good news when eldest sister called me into her room. Feeling a bit uneasy, I entered and saw her sitting expressionlessly, eyes fixed on me. My heart skipped a beat for no reason, and I immediately dropped to my knees. "Elder sister, did you call for me? Did I do something wrong?" She stared at me for a long time, then suddenly began to cry. She cupped my face tenderly. "Ruer, is it really you? Have you come back?" I blinked in confusion, not understanding what she meant. She lowered her voice and whispered in my ear, "Did you also come back from the dead?" I widened my eyes in shock and stared at her. "Sister, you." She pulled me into her arms and said, "You don't need to say anything. I already know, because I'm just like you. Do you know how much it broke my heart to see you pulled out of that water? And your Aunt Lin, such a kind woman. And yet, it was my fault. I failed to protect you both." "So that's it, eldest sister thought I was reborn too? What a coincidence." I immediately said, "Sister, I saw everything. I watched helplessly as you and everyone else died at the hands of Prince and Shinyunji. I hated it so much. That's why I came back." Eldest sister held my hand tightly, her eyes full of sorrow. "All these years, I always thought your death was suspicious. Tell me, how did you really die?" I gritted my teeth and said hatefully, "I saw Shinyunji secretly meeting Prince and in our manor. They discovered me, and Princeton drowned me in the lotus pond with his own hands. Sister, please don't marry him. Everything between you and Princeton back then was orchestrated by that mother and daughter. Their goal was to steal your place as the crown princess. His Highness died trying to save you. He was threatened by them. I came back to protect you and Aunt Lin. I won't let history repeat itself." As a diehard fan of the original story and a time-traveling soul, I spoiled everything. And sure enough, eldest sister was finally determined. She would marry soon, take the dowry with her, and leave not a single coin for that scumbag father, Jiang Yue or Shin Yunji. 15. My eldest sister's marriage to Nangong Ling went off without a hitch. As the only girl of her generation in Prince Heng's household, she had 3 uncles and 8 male cousins, all holding high positions in the court. Only a family as prestigious as Nangong Ling's could be considered a proper match. As for Nangong Sun, after the previous incident, the emperor scolded him harshly and stripped him of his position, sending him off to the imperial mausoleum to observe mourning. Our scumbag father and Jiang Yue were secretly plotting something, but surprisingly came back to the manor of their own accord, saying only that since his daughter was getting married, he, as the father, had to be involved. He didn't mention a word about bringing Jiang Yue and Shin Yunji back into the household. With the wedding around the corner, as long as he didn't stir up trouble, my eldest sister had no reason to deal with him. Besides, the wedding was rushed, and there were already a million things to take care of. Thankfully, Nangong Ling was thoughtful enough to send palace staff to help early on, and after a month or 2, preparations were just about done. Because I had played matchmaker between my eldest sister and Nangong Ling, everyone in the household treated me kindly. Other than needing to observe mourning for Princess Duanyang, eating light food and dressing simply, my daily life was actually quite comfortable. That day, after finishing my chanting for Princess Duanyang in the Buddha Hall, I brought some pastries and headed off to visit concubine Lin. From afar, I saw our scumbag father sneaking into her quarters. Soon after, I heard concubine Lin's furious voice from inside. "These were all gifts from the princess to me. They're meant to be part of Ruer's dowry. My lord, are you really trying to take not only my private savings but also my daughter's dowry?" The scumbag dad was coaxing her, calling her Yunyang, over and over. "Yunyang, I really had no choice. People are made of flesh and blood. You have a daughter too. Can you really bear to see Wei Nyang and her mother starving and living in poverty? Please, for my sake. At that moment, I finally understood. I had been wondering why he'd suddenly been so quiet and well-behaved lately. Turns out, he was just waiting for my eldest sister to get busy with the wedding, so he could sneak around and rob us blind behind her back. The maid Sheo beside me had been personally trained by Princess Duanyang and was Haitong's sister, quick-witted and dependable. I gave her a look, and she immediately understood and ran off to get help.
16.
As I continued listening in secret, I became more and more appalled at how shameless our scumbag father could be. Luckily, even though concubine Lin was technically his concubine, she clearly didn't side with him in the slightest. She sneered and said, "If the Marquis wants to support a mistress, he should use his own money. What kind of man steals from his concubine and daughter's dowry? Ruer isn't like the eldest young lady, who has a powerful maternal family behind her, nor does she have a marriage as good as the crown prince's. Her father is unreliable, so I, as her mother, must plan ahead for her." Upon hearing this, the scumbag's face twisted, his fake facade completely gone. You damn woman! Are you giving it to me or not? When the princess was alive, I had to tiptoe around her. Now she's gone, and I still have to listen to your nonsense? If you know what's good for you, hand over the money, or I'll drag Ruer out and marry her off to a beggar or butcher. She's not a relative of the emperor. I'm still her father. Can I do whatever I want? Concubine Lin was shaking with rage, clutching the money box tightly in her arms. No matter what you say today, I'm not giving you the money. Seeing that she wouldn't hand it over, he actually tried to snatch it by force. I couldn't let that happen. I jumped out and shouted, "Father, what are you doing? Are you really trying to steal from my concubine mother? Are you giving that money to those two women outside? Father, aren't we also your daughter and concubine? How could you be so heartless?" He had originally planned to sneak in, grab the money, and leave quietly. He and Zhang Yue had agreed to this scheme. He'd gather money from inside the manor while she waited to receive it outside. Once they had enough, they could enjoy their lives again. But my eldest sister had locked down the account so tightly, he had no choice but to set his sights on concubine Lin. Now that I had exposed him publicly, his face turned green with fury. He pointed at me and shouted, "You unfilial daughter, what nonsense are you spouting? Don't think I don't know. You're behind most of this mess." As he spoke, he took off his shoe and came at me, trying to hit me. 17. I won't brag about much, but running away? I've always been good at that. Back when I failed exams as a kid, my mom chased me down way more fiercely than he ever could. With that wine-soaked, worn-out body of his, he thought he could catch me? Sure enough, after just a few steps, he was panting like a bull and pale as a ghost. I slowed down on purpose, letting him think he had a chance to catch me. Meanwhile, I stayed in character. "Father, how could you be so cruel? I only didn't want you to be manipulated by those two women. Is that really so wrong? Then go ahead, beat me to death if that's what you want." He was fuming. "Then stop running. Let me beat you to death." I almost laughed. He actually believed I meant it. Just as I was about to say something else to rile him up, I saw my eldest sister arriving with a group of guards and housekeepers. I immediately threw myself to the ground and cried out, "Ouch!" Thinking his moment had come, the scumbag lifted his shoe to strike me again. My eldest sister rushed forward and shoved him aside. "Father, what are you doing?" Tears welled up in my eyes as I looked up at her with a pitiful face. "Sister, my foot hurts." Father tried to steal concubine Lin's private money. I caught him, and he said he was going to beat me to death. My eldest sister's face darkened instantly as she came to help me up, full of concern. "Father, are you insane? How could you treat Ruer like this?" The scumbag immediately got defensive. "She fell on her own. I didn't even touch her." I didn't wait for him to finish. I burst into tears. "Sister, it hurts so much. Am I going to be crippled?" He was clearly afraid of us now. Seeing my sister's accusing gaze, he pointed at us and shouted, "Fine, fine. You sisters are thick as thieves. No one respects me in this house anymore. I'm leaving. I'm not staying here another day." Then he put his shoe back on, flung his sleeve, and stormed off. As we watched him disappear down the corridor, my sister and I exchanged glances. She asked, "Did he really leave?" I replied, "He'll be back, probably."
18.
As expected, the scumbag father returned. Not even a few hours after leaving, they had to carry him back. Apparently, he got angry and went to a tavern to drink away his sorrows. After drinking, he couldn't pay the bill. The owner and the staff chased after him demanding money, and on the street, he was hit by a carriage. The impact was severe. He was left partially paralyzed, unable to move the lower half of his body. Lying in bed with his mouth twisted and eyes crooked, he couldn't speak and had to be cared for by others. A servant reported that after being hit, the scumbag was first sent to Jiang Yue and Xin Yunji, the mother and daughter. But once they realized he was beyond help, they quickly arranged for a carriage to send him back. My eldest sister looked at me and lowered her voice. "Ruer, could it be you sent someone?" I immediately denied it. "Of course not."
Could it be you, sister?
Eldest sister, No, definitely not. We both breathed a sigh of relief. Seems like the scumbag got what he deserved. Low people have their own justice. Lin Yinyang sighed deeply when she saw the scumbag lying on the sickbed, muttering softly. Why didn't he die from the accident? Half alive like this, he might as well serve the princess. Who could argue? What rotten luck. After all, he's the future father-in-law of the crown prince, the loyal Duke Zhongyong. He couldn't just get hit for nothing. After a thorough investigation by the Ministry of Justice, the culprit was identified. It turned out to be Prince N. Nangong Sun, who had been punished to guard the imperial tomb. He secretly returned to the capital to meet Xin Yunji. After hitting the scumbag, he fled to avoid exposure. Because the scumbag didn't get timely medical treatment, he ended up paralyzed. Nangong Sun must bear responsibility. He didn't want to, but Nangong Ling and the emperor made sure he did. So, he was relieved from guarding the tomb. But since he was imperial kin, and the incident was classified as a hit-and-run accident caused by the scumbag's drunken recklessness, Nangong Sun was sentenced to house arrest and forbidden from leaving his residence. 19. When Xin Yunji heard that Nangong Sun was under house arrest, she wept bitterly, clutching a handkerchief outside the prince's residence day after day, tears flowing endlessly. Meanwhile, Jiang Yue loudly protested outside Duke Zhongyong's mansion, claiming she was the scumbag's concubine and that eldest sister couldn't ignore him being in trouble. Eldest sister changed her usual attitude and warmly brought Jiang Yue into the mansion. She told her that she was about to marry soon, and that she would be taking all the dowry from me, Lin Yinyang, and Princess Duanyang away with her. From then on, the Zhongyong Duke's estate would be gone, so Jiang Yue might as well stay to take care of the scumbag. Jiang Yue glanced at the scumbag drooling in bed and then at the mansion that had been mostly packed up. Fuming, she spat out. Who'd want to care for this cripple? Shun Aoshua, you even harmed your own father. You deserve a bad death. She stomped away in a huff, leaving the scumbag behind unwillingly. Seeing his true love abandon him and call him a cripple, the scumbag was so angry he just drooled and kept groaning in bed. Lin Yinyang hurried to wipe his mouth with a handkerchief. Master, don't get worked up. Take care of your body. From now on, Ruer and I will go with the eldest lady to the crown prince's mansion. You'll be alone here. The scumbag gave us a resentful glare before rolling his eyes and fainting from anger. Of course, he wouldn't die from this. He'd be half alive lying around for the rest of his days. Eldest sister, however, got married. On her wedding day, the entire capital was festively decorated to celebrate her and the crown prince. Red silk stretched all the way from Duke Zhongyong's estate to the imperial eastern palace. Since no parents attended, a few of eldest sister's uncles and aunts came, along with 8 powerful cousins escorting her, an extremely grand event. I, along with Haitang and Xiaoyao, cheered on as a close-knit CP fan group. We even got drunk and caused a scene in the bridal chamber, demanding to see eldest sister kiss Nangong Ling. She blushed deeply and had people take me away quickly, not letting me make a fuss. Unexpectedly, when I woke up, I found myself in a strange room, tied up hand and foot, with a man who looked completely unhinged staring at me maliciously. Ru, I can't touch your sister, but I sure can touch you, right? You wretched woman, you've caused me such misery. I'll make sure you can neither live nor die. Me? A what?
20.
I never expected Nangong Sun had such ability to rescue me from the Crown Prince's mansion. What shocked me even more was his audacity. Facing this madman alone, my heart pounded wildly. What do you want to do? Don't come closer. Nangong Sun unbuckled his belt with a sinister grin and stepped toward me. What do you think I want to do? Ugh, so greasy. I fight fate, not fate me. I struggled to sit up on the bed. Aren't you deeply in love with Xinyunji? Aren't you afraid she'll find out? And if the Crown Prince and my sister find out, they won't spare you. Nangong Sun laughed wildly. I'm already done with you. Even if your sister and the Crown Prince know, what can they do to me? When this reaches the Emperor, I'll be forced to, out of mercy, take you as a concubine. When you fall into my hands, I'll torture you however I please. I suddenly understood. So that's what you're thinking. Then don't blame me. I had already used the small hidden dagger on me to free my bound wrists. As he lunged at me, I struck swiftly. Snap. Down there, no more. Nangong Ling screamed miserably, wailing. You wicked woman. I want your life. I looked at him in terror, widening my beautiful, pure, flawless eyes. Princeton, are you all right? Ruer didn't mean to. I'll call a doctor for you. Then I turned and ran. Nangong Sun, frantic and furious, tried to catch me, but without his manhood, he bled heavily and soon fainted. 21. I ran out shouting for help. It turned out this place was actually Prince N's residence, but none of the guards knew I had been captured by Nangong Sun. Hearing the commotion, they all rushed over.
Who are you?
How did you escape from our prince's room? I immediately broke down, crying like a little white flower trembling in the wind. I'm the Crown Princess's younger sister. Your prince kidnapped me from the Crown Prince's and my sister's wedding banquet. He wanted to force himself on me, and then the guards were horrified by what I said. They ran to check on Nangong Sun, and seeing he had already fainted, they realized this was serious. Just then, people from the Crown Prince's mansion noticed I was missing. Following clues, they came and immediately surrounded Prince N's residence, capturing Nangong Sun, kidnapping and attempted assault. Even though he failed and was injured, I was the victim defending myself. So in the end, Nangong Sun took all the blame alone. Of course, I didn't just do nothing either. After all, that one slash took away his manhood. Since I had to mourn for Princess Duanyang for 3 years anyway, I punished myself by going to the Buddhist temple to chant sutras and pray, hoping to atone for my sins. Because of my righteous understanding, even the emperor couldn't bear to blame me. As for Nangong Sun, after losing his manhood, his voice became soft and timid, but inside Prince N's residence, he cursed me more harshly every time. Jiang Yue, hungry for wealth and status, sent Xinyunji to become a concubine of Nangong Yen. At first, Nangong Yen was pleased, but when he saw Xinyunji's evasive eyes, he flew into a rage and, in anger, sent Jiang Yue and Xinyunji to the Faxian brothel to serve customers. He even stood by watching them work. When I heard this, I quickly rang my prayer beads and beat the wooden fish drum loudly. Oh, how utterly terrifying. The end.